That's how the president's been handling this, right? Because he talked very tough on China during the campaign as it pertained to trade, but then established a relationship with the Chinese president, then went through the process of being let down by him, which most people expected. He's kind of evolved on the diplomacy front. What do you make of what he's doing now?
That's a great question. And, you know, I think he has moved in the right direction. What we saw at the last week of June with those costs that he imposed on China, for instance, severing Bank of Dandong from the global financial system and doing a couple of other things, that's really the right way. Now, that diplomacy was deft, and the issue is, can he consistently apply pressure on both China and North Korea? And that's going to be tough for any president, and it's going to be tough for this one, who is obviously distracted by a whole bunch of other things. So, yes, but this is so important, you know, and Trump has done one thing which is absolutely correct, and that is he's put North Korea at the top of our list of priorities. You know, no longer are we trying to integrate China into the international system, you know, all the rest of it. What he's trying to do is protect the American people by disarming the North Koreans. You know, if nothing else, that's a precondition to success. It's not sufficient, but it is the precondition.
Your book is The Coming Collapse of China. Tell us, what does that mean? And is China in a position of weakness right now as it relates to President Trump and his negotiations? And is Trump doing the right thing by playing a strong hand with them?
He obviously needs to do that. You know, Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, is heading into the 19th Communist Party Congress, which will be held either October or November when they schedule it. Right now, Xi Jinping is in a very precarious position. He has sort of staked his role on being able to push the United States around, and he's done that on a number of occasions quite successfully. If Trump pushes back in this next couple of months, he will delegitimize Xi Jinping, and he will also delegitimize the worst elements in the Chinese political system, which unfortunately happen to be the Chinese military, because they are starting to drive policy in the East China Sea, South China Sea, India.
Why is China going to collapse? Your book says the coming collapse of China.
Yeah, because I looked at the economy and I thought that it would occur by 2011, so I'm obviously out of time. But we see right now a Chinese economy which is indeed fragile, and it's got a debt crisis. They are where we were
Gordon,
in 2007.
what's happening with the population in China?
I think the population in China right now are upset. You can see this because you have unprecedented money flows out of the country. Last 2015, $1 trillion. Last year, probably $1.1 trillion. People are voting with their pocketbooks. Also, China's wealthy. We've done all sorts of surveys over the last 2 or 3 years. They're starting to see, like, 50% of China's wealthy say they want out of the country. Now, obviously, a lot of people can't get out, and I think that they've been coerced by the political system, but they're not really happy right now because the economy is not as good as advertised.
But they're buying real estate here in Toronto.
But at the same time, it's going from an industrialized nation into a consumer nation, and that's good. I mean, it's been growing. I mean, it's going through the growing pains. I mean, think about what just happened, a significant event where they're actually allowing, it's going into the emerging market indices. So we're going to be, American investors are going to start owning a lot of Chinese companies vis-a-vis their emerging market ETFs and indexes.
At about the wrong time. They're not really moving to a consumption economy. Consumption does account for more of China's gross domestic product, but the problem is that that consumption is being driven by investment. And we've seen that because when the government takes its foot off the pedal, consumption starts to shrink again. So clearly it still is an investment-driven economy, despite all of the numbers that have been coming out of Beijing, some of which have been exaggerated.
Wow. All right, Gordon Chang, great of you to be here.
Thanks very much, Sandra.